Want to get out of here?
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse continues the tale of Miles Morales, a nice Brooklyn kid who just happens to also be Spider-Man. But he's not alone in this new movie, where Spider-Men from different universes converge in the most jam-packed Spidey film of them all. The animation is once again amazing, using different visual styles to accentuate the different characters. It's really eye-popping stuff. I also love the hip-hop and electronica score, and the voice performances are very good. The first Spider-Man movie took home the Academy Award for Best Animated Film, and I expect Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse to win Oscar Gold as well.
There's something in my room. You believe me, don't you?
There's no such thing as monsters. You need to grow up!
The Boogeyman is based on a Stephen King story. It follows a little girl who is battling a monster under her bed, and it's not just a figment of her childhood imagination. It's a pretty standard movie monster story with some nice genre performances and some fun jump scares, although I predict this one will not win an Oscar.
My boys, we've been balling with each other since we was like 10. Call ourselves the Fab Four.
Finally, Shooting Stars over on Peacock tells the story of LeBron James and his friends growing up in Akron, Ohio. This is a rose-colored biopic timed to capitalize on the NBA Finals fever, and while some of the acting is a little suspect, the sports story elements on and off the court will still get you cheering.
When you look back at this time in your lives, it won't be the stat. It'll be that person next to you.
And that's what's new this weekend at the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
Good morning. It is Friday, which means Sean McBride, the movie guy, is here to give us a rundown of all the hits and maybe the misses of what's coming out on the movies this weekend. And of course,
Spider-Man,
the big one. Do you want to start with the biggest one?
Yeah, I think that's the one that's got the most to talk about.
I think
certainly,
right.
Yeah, there are three films which we can talk about. And like last week, one of those films is much bigger than the others.
Absolutely.
I will say, though, the good news is all three of this week's movies are pretty good. Or are good, you know. I mean,
right.
And the Spider-Man movie leads the way. If you remember the 2018 movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, mostly on the strength of its visual design. These movies are just like love letters to graphic artists, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just really beautiful to watch. I think this one also wins the Academy Award for, I think, and that's not a big, bold prediction. I think everybody assumes it is. It is another film that is just visually stunning. I think it's a very good movie. Basically, it's multiple stories at once. Part of it is a traditional Spider-Man movie. You have Miles Morales. He's Spider-Man. He's trying to juggle parents in school and saving Brooklyn and everything like that. But along the way, a big bad develops this new villain called the Spot. It's Jason Schwartzman playing that character. And he is a guy that has spots on his body. Well, these spots turn out to be portals that allow him to teleport or go to different planes of existence.
Interesting.
But that story is kind of thrown away fairly quickly because the real thing about this movie is that it takes place in the Spider-Verse, which is a multiverse concept. I'll be honest with you, I thought I was a little tired of the multiverse. I mean, the Doctor Strange and all the Marvel things and Loki TV and, you know, I was a little tired of it. But this one, I thought, dealt with it fairly interestingly and had some interesting things to say about this plane of existence where there are all these different Spider-Men from different Spider universes. And so we have Gwen Stacy, who is Spider-Woman, not Spider-Girl. They've made a distinction here. And she has her own world. That's Issa Rae playing another version of Spider-Woman. We have Oscar Isaac playing Spider-Man 2099, which is a big thing if you know the comics. And if you don't know the comics, that's fine. You just see, oh, here's another Spider-Man, but this one's a little more of a fascist Spider-Man. Ultimately, it turns into this big thing that takes place on the planet existence where he's just surrounded by Spider-Man, Spider-Women, Spider-Cats, Spider-Babies. You know, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It is so fast-paced and frenetic. It just starts at a breakneck speed and really doesn't stop for much. There are moments at the beginning where he has a nice conversation with his mom. Quite frankly, a really wonderful, emotional conversation where mom is telling her young 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, hey, look, you've always been my little baby and all I want is for you to be safe. And I thought, oh, gee, I'm getting the tears, you know, I'm welling up here. That being said, it quickly throws that away and gets to the action. But the action is super well done. It has an amazing score. It's kind of a hip-hop, electronica, soul score.
Oh, fun.
And it really complements the visuals well. I like the story could use a little help.
Sure.
It's a little scattered, and it does end abruptly because this is part one in a two-parter. In fact, at the screening where I saw it, if film ends and the guy in the audience goes, "What?" You know, it's like he wanted
One of
more.
those.
Why didn't you finish it? Well, the good news is you will not have to wait 4 years for the next one. The second Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is scheduled to come out March 29th of next year.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming up quickly. And it'll be interesting because March 10th is the Academy Awards. I think it wins an Oscar, and like 3 weeks later, it will get the new one coming out here.
There you go. Well, that'll be interesting. Okay, sounds like a hit, and if you...
Yeah, I think this is a very good movie. My only quibbles are those, you know, the script could be fleshed out a little bit, but I think it's a film that is aimed at younger, obviously, audiences. I'm not sure this is a film for grandma, but I like how they're trying to expand the world, and it is very much a Spider-Woman story as much as a Spider-Man. This movie begins with Gwen Stacy. It ends with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
It's kind of as much her movie as it is Miles Morales' character. So good film, yeah. I was very surprised, well, not surprised, but I was very pleased that it lived up to the hype.
I feel like I can see that taking off in the future. Spider-Women going out Halloween costumes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sure.
I think I've already seen Halloween costumes.
Yeah, there you go.
So.
What else do we have this week?
So the other one in theaters this week is a film called The Boogeyman, and this is based on a short Stephen King story. I'm not sure I need to tell you too much about this. It's a monster movie.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a kid, and she thinks there's something in her closet or something under the bed, Daddy, and Daddy kind of dismisses it. And you know, you should never dismiss a child saying there's a monster if you're in a Stephen King movie,
right?
So it's fine. You know, it's the father and him trying to keep a family safe and an evil spirit, and there's, you know, I think it's fine. I think the child performances, which are frequently the downfall of these movies,
absolutely,
I think they're pretty good here. I like the jump scares, and you know, it's one of those movies where if they just turn on some lights, you know, things would be okay.
Yeah.
But that's not cinematography-wise.
No.
You know, you need it to be dark so that there's some shadow that can rise up in the background. But, you know, aside from that, I think if you just want a movie to jump at and be scared by, I think it has those scares. I think it's fine. Like I say, it's not going to win the Academy Award. Spider-Man will win an Academy Award. The Boogeyman will not win an Academy Award.
Absolutely. They got to keep the lights off. If they make good decisions, then we have no scary movies to watch, right?
Exactly.
Don't run upstairs, run out the door.
Right.
Yeah, never makes sense. But okay, interesting. If you want a scary movie, that's a good option for you. And then the last one?
The last one is over on home streaming, and this would be Shooting Stars on Peacock. And Peacock is, you know, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people think Peacock is your lesser of the streaming services because it's tied to NBC.
Sure.
It hasn't had the hits, but it has some hits recently, and I like this. Peacock is tied to Universal Studios, so you do get a lot of movies. And this is an original film on Peacock, timed to come out at the same time as the NBA Finals.
Oh,
it's the story of LeBron James and his childhood friends growing up in Akron, Ohio, and they call themselves the Fab Four, and they go to high school. And a lot of this is, you know, real world stuff where they were such a touted group. They become the #1 high school basketball team in the nation. And it's the struggles that they have. Let's be honest, it's a LeBron James produced movie, so those struggles are, quite frankly, pretty mild and pretty rose-colored. And we were talking about, you know, child actors, sometimes they're wrong. Well, I do think the younger versions of them are not the greatest actors.
Okay.
But I do like it once they get into the high school versions. These kids, I mean, a lot of them are actual players, you know, and so they can do stuff. The director is very good at the basketball court. It's a sports movie, and so you get that, you know, there's a lot of inherent, you know, wanting to cheer on the home team, you know, in these movies. I think that works out very well. Like I say, I think the drama is a little sanitized, and perhaps that could have been a little more robust. But this isn't meant to be a searing indictment of, you know, this is supposed to be a hagiography where, you know, we're saying LeBron, he's the GOAT, and here's, you know, baby GOAT, let's call it that way, and all his friends. And I do appreciate that, you know, while we know LeBron James, we don't necessarily know his friends.
Sure.
And I like, you know, you always at the end of a movie or a documentary, you get those full screens that say, here is what this person has done.
End up, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so they do that with all the friends, and they go through and say, he's played here, and he's doing this, blah, blah, and then they end up with LeBron, and they say, LeBron went on to the NBA. things seem to be going well. You know?
I'd say so. Yeah, that's
so
a
it's
good.
kind of a fun little end capper here. He's doing okay. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Very
over
much
on
so.
Peacock, and that's like I say,
Okay.
it's kind of interesting that Peacock is kind of an also-ran for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You can get Peacock fairly cheaply, and they have had some hits on there. You know, Poker Face and Mrs. Davis, I would say, are pretty good reasons to think about getting Peacock now as a streaming service.
Okay, well, there's your options for this week. 2 in theater, 1 on streaming.
There you
Peacock
go.
might need to explore that if you're interested in LeBron James. It's good timing, wasn't it, with the
NBA Finals, yeah, exactly. It would have been better timing if the Lakers were in the finals.
It would. Maybe we should have done it a little bit earlier with the playoffs. Yeah. Well, as always, thank you very much, Sean. Sean comes every Friday to give us a rundown of all the movies.